Once again, this class proves to be incredibly clever and engaging. I am really enjoying listening to the speeches of history. I'm on my second round today because I want them to make an impression, and they already have. I'm very gratified when students who are 40 years younger than I will speak about a Winston Churchill or a Diana Spencer, Michelle Obama, and Gettysburg Address. And I just find that the content and the selection shows how like valid a student you are. You didn't have to be that clever, but you were. And also the technical skills Norma was able to present and take a snippet of her presentation to put in, and she was incredibly skillful at that. I know some students taking asynchronous class were all set for this. They knew the course tools. If they didn't know them inside or out, they trained themselves to know them. You can always go into YouTube videos, put down Blackboard, which is the program our course is built on, and then say like discussion boards or VoiceThread or journals, and you can get some more tutorial. Always realize that the CITE Lab, CITE, the Center for, I think is it Institutional Technical Expertise? That's a good question. What does CITE Lab stand for? But they're there for you. Right now there are 4 full-time professionals: Asani, Andrew, Diane, and Thais. They're incredibly kind, smart. They've been there, and I do not think there's any question that they haven't been asked. And if they don't know how to help you in particular with your computer need, they'll find out. I use the computers in my office, which are Dell's. I use a computer at home that's a Lenovo ThinkPad and an Apple Mac. So among those 3, I will get into glitches. All of a sudden, VoiceThread isn't working in a certain format at a certain time, and I have to do it again. But I don't panic because I've been doing online education for at least 11 years, and I know I can call the CITE Lab, and I do. Their number is 774-357-2081, and call them Monday through Friday and connect with them. They are our wingman of this class. I work on content, they work on the technical aspect, which is usually why students are having a difficulty because they fall short. All right, now back to my time capsule. Every semester when I assign the speeches of history, I take note. Okay, spring 2022, this is what my students contributed. So Avery spoke about Winston Churchill. Alexia spoke about the Gettysburg Address. Cole, Gabe Brown, who I did not know, but it's about sustainability and farming, incredibly important. Jessica spoke about Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and I was very charmed by that. And she made mention that Dave has said he found his voice through his music. Of course, we know that the drummer from the Foo Fighters, Taylor Hawkins, passed recently, but that's separate from Jessica's speech. And then Spyro spoke about Barack Obama. He really did. His inaugural address in 2008, I think it was November 4th, when he first became our president. Incredibly important. Ashley spoke about Robert Kennedy, when Robert Kennedy did a tribute to Martin Luther King. Incredible. You know the timeline, right? That Martin Luther King died, and then Robert Kennedy, both assassinated. So it's incredibly powerful, the words of Robert Kennedy and his work with civil rights, and that Ashley knew the history and was comfortable with that content was pretty impressive. And then Norma talked about don't fear failure, just fear regret, and she focused on Deshauna Barber, who was the Miss USA 2015, who I did not know anything about, and I was delighted that Norma brought that into our world, contributed that. Plus Norma's technical skills, I loved that seamlessly. She showed a little snippet from Deshauna Barber's presentation, which you didn't have to do, but you could see how in a short period of time you can share a lot of content. And then Mackenzie spoke about Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama. I could listen to Michelle Obama all day, and I think Mackenzie could too. Back in 2013, when she was doing like "Let's Move, Let's Get Going," and it was incredibly powerful presentation. Lisa Mello picked Oprah Winfrey, always a winner, right? Always a winner. And I wrote down what Lisa said to remind myself that the three pieces of advice that Oprah was stressing. One is knowing who you are. Two, you must find some way to serve. And the three, always do the right thing. Incredible wisdom to live by. And then Sophie talked about Diana Spencer and her work with AIDS, Princess Diana from 1993. So far, that's who we have who contributed to the Speeches of History. The very next presentation will be the persuasive. I put a little video up on it. I think you'll understand persuasion. Or, and it could be serious or it could be lighthearted, but to motivate or to inspire, to teach. It's an information speech, but it has a bias. You're trying to connect to your audience in a certain way to get them to have a call for action. And then after that, we go into our interview. Now, the interview, I'll talk more about it, but please do not be intimidated by it. I call it the broadcast interview because the original assignment was when we were face-to-face, and we would go into the television studio, and you, as a student, would bring in somebody to do a 5-minute informative interview with. Since we've been dealing with COVID and asynchronous classes, I say do who's safe. I still wear my mask, and I'm not fond of being spit on, so I'm very careful who I'm right in front of when I'm speaking. But you'll be interviewing somebody, and this is a chance for you to practice your listening skills. Interviewing on informative, not ambushing, on a topic that is agreeable to the person you're asking to interview. Could be your child, it could be your neighbor, it could be a coworker, it could be someone in this class. I've had students, speaking about technical cleverness, have done Zoom presentations with people from California or Tennessee, and they've been able to capture the video that we see both participants. So informative presentation on interviewing on the topic of your choice. I usually suggest you come up with like 10 questions. Closed questions like what school did you go to? Open questions like why did you go to that school? Probing questions with more whys to it, right? And hypotheticals. What would you have done if you didn't go into that profession? I have a little handout on it, but naturally, if you're curious about your person and you find a topic you can agree upon, this should come out more naturally than you think. But always have at least 10 questions. And when you start your interview, you are going to be engaging your interviewee, right? And you are going to ask the question and do turn taking for a conversation. And hopefully the person responds, and then you listen. So you might have your 10 prepared questions. You might not have even get to them all. You might speak with someone who likes to talk. If you interviewed me, you'd probably need 3 questions because I would just keep talking, right? But at the same time, you are not committed to those questions. You'd be a good listener, and if someone says something you weren't expecting, you could do a follow-up question. It's an interview. We do them all the time. It's just a little bit more formal. It's conversations, right? So, and then after that is the personal experience or brief opinion. I'm pretty sure. Let me look at the calendar to make sure I'm not telling you something. Yes. Week 11 is the broadcast interview, and week 13 is the final presentation, which is a personal experience or brief opinion. Now, we just finished the speech of history. If any of you have another speech of history you would like to do, you could do that for the last speech. It would be your brief opinion, someone you really enjoy. Like if you really enjoy, like I really enjoy Maya Angelou, and I really enjoy Beyonce. I know these are like, well, the random people, right? Maybe I would do that for my brief opinion. Personal experience is a narrative similar to a narrative you might have written in an English class, and brief opinion oftentimes comes out as a sound-off speech, something you're adamant about, but you do not need any research for. And I'm going to put on the final exam starting on week 11. And I've decided to give a long stretch of time for the final because I will. Graduation this year is May 21st. And our last day of class is May 13th. And that's just too short for me. So I'm going to put up the final early and then ask that everyone have it done by May 12th so I can get my grades in on May 13th. That's very important to me because I know that students are transferring. I know students will be graduating. And when a faculty member holds up the grades, it can make a mess. So it's important that we follow this. So I'll put up the final exam in week 11. I'll give you more information about it before then. And I'll give you more information about the broadcast interview. And I'll give you more information about the personal experience brief opinion speech. I was just looking at our calendar here. So yes, persuasion is for April 3rd. Let's see. Interview for April 17th. Brief opinion, personal experience for May 1st. And then the final exam will be due by May 12th. And the last day for withdrawal, and if you're in trouble in any of your classes, hopefully it's not our class, but in any classes, is April 8th. So look at the calendar, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the content in the Speech of History. I'm incredibly grateful, and I'll put all your names into my time capsule. I started doing this maybe 20 years ago to see, like, what were students talking about. I often will take time capsule topics from you in the news, your information. I go actually, I said 20 years, but I started doing this in 1978, thinking I would have a timeline of a period of history, and I do. Now, is anyone interested in this? Probably not. But I like to keep a measure. I hope everyone's doing well. And again, if you have any technical issues at all, please do not lose heart. You know, like Maya Angelou said, and I quoted from her on our syllabus, when you know better, you do better. And when I first started doing online education, I had to ask a lot of questions. I have much more confidence now. I will redo things. Sometimes it takes me 2 times to get the VoiceThread to connect. And they say, yep, it can be tricky sometimes. Sometimes time of day. Who else is using the server? I use Chrome. Sometimes I switch to to Firefox, but they say no, go back to Chrome. It all depends on what you're using. It's different at school. It's different at home. It's different on my Apple device. So I don't know why. I just know it is. And I know not to lose heart and hang in there. So I hope you're all doing well, and ciao, Bella. Today is March 31st. It's the last day of March. Tomorrow's April Fool's Day, which I was trying to explain to my 6-year-old granddaughter this morning, and she did not get the concept whatsoever. Oh, man. Take care.